A little over 5 years ago, XXXTentacion uploaded his song Look at Me to SoundCloud, accompanied by a picture of a 12-year-old boy with a giant blunt hanging out of his nose. Over the course of the next few years, that same boy would come to be known as Kid Pronto, and he'd find himself in prison not once, but twice, including being tried as an adult for attempted murder after flying into a jealous rage. While in prison, reports suggest he also found Allah and converted to the Muslim faith. So what's true and what's fiction when it comes to this young man's story? You're about to find out, as this is Kid Pronto. Where are they now? Kid Pronto was born Zachary Stoddard in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and after appearing on the cover of XXXTentacion's Look at Me single that was uploaded to SoundCloud on December 30th, 2015, he'd find himself dragged into a crazy chain of events that would change the course of his life forever. Now, in case you're wondering, X didn't just choose this image at random. He actually befriended the 12-year-old Kid Pronto only a few months prior. Pronto told Complex, "We're all from the same city, so we had a lot of mutual friends, and he just with me." Pronto met X for the first time after being invited to attend X's first ever concert in his native state of Florida. After he arrived, X pulled Kid Pronto on stage where he appeared alongside other artists like Ski Mask the Slump God and others. Following that performance, all three decided to set up shop in a group chat on Twitter, where they would trade ridiculous photos with one another, each trying to top the other. One of these photos was Kid Pronto with a blunt hanging out of his nose. At this time, X told Pronto what his plans were for the picture, but considering that X had yet to blow up, Pronto didn't really think much of it. X followed through on his promise, and though for about a year after its release, Look at Me only received a modest level of attention in North American hip-hop circles, then, after X was arrested on charges of domestic battery, false imprisonment, and witness tampering in late 2016, his single and entire career suddenly exploded in popularity. But here's the thing, just as X was finding himself in trouble, so was Kid Pronto. In 2017, he was arrested numerous times and faced charges of battery, vehicle theft, and resisting arrest. Then, by spring 2017, when X returned home from prison, Kid Pronto found himself on the run and got in touch with his friend, hoping that he could assist him in lying low. With a warrant out for his arrest, Pronto pulled up at one of X's shows and asked for help. X agreed to take care of his buddy and offered to let him stay at his home until things cooled down. For 2 months, Pronto lived with X at his home, which is now a period of his life that he looks back extremely fondly, especially considering what was yet to happen. Eventually though, Pronto's vacation would come to an end when the police showed up at X's front door. After attempting to convince the cops that Pronto wasn't there, X eventually sat down with Pronto and convinced him to turn himself in. Pronto took his good friend's advice, but midway through Pronto's prison sentence, X was murdered in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Pronto heard about what happened while serving his sentence, and by that time he had returned home and he had decided to dedicate himself to a new goal: jumpstart his very own hip-hop career in honor of his fallen friend. Pronto told Complex, "When I was around X, he used to tell me to make music, because I used to be freestyling and shit. He was like, bro, you snap it, you've gotta make some music." And I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm not a rapper, but I had music all around me, and all my friends were making music, so eventually I was like, alright, let me see what this is all about. In the early stages of 2019, Pronto dropped his first few singles, tracks like My Click, Fast Lane, and Stand Tall. Meanwhile, he developed a decent-sized following on SoundCloud, and those tracks would go on to earn around 300,000 plays in total on the platform. The problem was that Pronto's heart still wasn't invested in making music. Instead, he found his focus always being pulled in the wrong direction. Basically, Kid Pronto couldn't stay out of trouble with the law. In spring of 2019, he was arrested again, this time for stabbing and the attempted murder of another teen, during the course of an argument that turned deadly.
My son was just pulling him off of the girl he was strangling, and he didn't know the boy had a knife in his pocket. My son got hit in his aorta and his femoral artery and was left there to die, and he was taunted by this man.
According to reports of the incident, Pronto had been visiting a friend's home on April 27th when he received a call from a girl that he was crushing on, who told him that he was on his way over to see him with another guy, the eventual victim, Keith Tatton. When Keith and the girl he arrived with decided to leave the gathering early to get some dinner, Pronto got in the car with them despite the fact that he was not invited to join. After being told multiple times to get out of the car, Pronto became jealous and confronted the girl, yelling and cursing at her before grabbing her arm in an attempt to pull her from the vehicle. Keith then got out of the car to confront Pronto, and that's when they started punching one another. Seconds later, the girl said she saw blood spill onto the ground and Keith collapse. Pronto then reportedly taunted the young man before running off.
My son was just pulling him off of the girl he was strangling, and he didn't know the boy had a knife in his pocket. My son got hit in his aorta and his femoral artery and was left there to die, and he was taunted by this man.
When the authorities arrived, they found Keith laying in the middle of the driveway. He was barely responsive and bleeding profusely from his abdomen and pelvic area. Police later confirmed that he had been stabbed multiple times and suffered a severed femoral artery. He was taken to a local hospital and put on life support, where he would proceed to undergo 7 open heart surgeries in the span of 3 weeks in an attempt to save his life. Luckily for Keith, he managed to survive the attack. His doctors would later tell him that he was the only patient they've ever treated to survive an assault this deadly. On average, less than 1% of people survive from the type of wounds that he experienced. Meanwhile, Pronto would later be found by authorities at a nearby emergency room where he was receiving treatment of his own. He admitted to entering the vehicle but denied touching the girl and claimed that what happened was a result of self-defense. After his arrest, Pronto was tried as an adult, and due to the extremely violent nature of the crime, his bail was set to $250,000, an amount that his family had absolutely no ability to pay.
We have 0 equity. I am in debt. I work full-time. My husband's a real estate broker. We live separately. We were separated.
Throughout the course of his trial, it was revealed that Pronto had previously been arrested on charges of a similar nature after attacking his brother as well. Those charges were eventually dropped, but needless to say, Pronto wouldn't be so lucky this time. He was sentenced to a multi-year stay in prison, and while he was in jail, photos surfaced online that seemed to suggest that he had found religion in the midst of all his problems, including an image of Pronto wearing a face covering that implied that he had converted to Islam. While discussing these events with the folks over at Complex, Pronto told them that his conversion to Islam was fake news, and that while his time behind bars had changed his life, it didn't turn him into a spiritual person. He told Complex, "It helped me know what I want to do, and it helped me realize that's not the life I want. It just helped me get my mind right." So what is the life that Kid Pronto really wants? Well, now that he's 17 years old and has been moved from prison to being placed under house arrest, he's ready to get back into his hip-hop career. He has been recording a whole bunch of new songs, including his newest single, First Day Out, which dropped at the end of February 2021 and already has more than 200,000 views. Is there still a market out there for Kid Pronto music? Does anyone want to listen? Guess we will find out over the next few weeks and months. My name is Clyde Smith, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.